wonderful day of doing nothing. Hey! I haven't seen you in about 2 weeks, oh my god! How have you been? So it has been about 8 days since my last upload. I completely forgot that I uploaded that video. I thought I hadn't uploaded anything since the Maritime Bay Adventure streams. But either way, I found a topic that for some reason still exists and is interesting enough that I want to kind of cover it. Now, you've already read the title of the video, you already kind of know what it's about, so I'm just going to say, no, this isn't some mindless ranting and raving over which black box you should use. This is entirely opinionated and is not based in fact, so without further ado, why don't we get into the video? So honestly, I genuinely thought that the whole console wars thing had died out years ago because it's such a childish thing and it was only really popular with people of my generation, you know, back in the good old 2014s when we were all kids. And surprisingly, no, it hasn't died down. For some reason, there are still people that genuinely believe that you're in the wrong for having a certain console. And the funnier thing about it is that it's a lot of adults, it's grown people, not kind it's actual adults that are fucking arguing this, which I kind of find laughable. I find it a little bit pathetic, and I know that's kind of funny to hear coming from a man who collects My Little Pony toys. But yeah, it's kind of pathetic because it's essentially the same shit that kids have on the playground when they're arguing about the different toys they got, you know, like, oh, I collect playing cards. I collect Yu-Gi-Oh, you fucking monster! But yeah, a lot of these people that are talking about the whole La Console Wars thing aren't really qualified to speak on it because they don't own every fucking console in existence. They only own the one, and then they get really happy with the one, and they hear about some of the downsides of the other and then start criticising it relentlessly. And you know that's the case even if they do own multiple of the legendary gaming consoles we have. That it's a very one-sided argument because they never actually bother to point out any flaws with the console they're playing and they're defending. And I figured that I, as a person who owns a lot of consoles, would be qualified to speak on this. I myself recently, I got the Xbox Series X, big upgrade from the Xbox One that I had. I gave that to my sister. I also have a PS4 down there. I will grab the controller right here to prove I'm not talking shit. And I also have a Nintendo Switch sitting right here. And on top of all of that, I'm recording with my PC, but I do have a PC. So I have some level of experience with the whole field. I don't have a PS5, but I don't plan on buying one, so you're just going to have to live with that. And you can't really say much about it. Haha. An important thing to acknowledge is that the console wars is absolute idiocy, because at the end of the day, they're all the same thing. A big black box that plays games. And honestly, in my opinion, if it's a good console or a good gaming device, it has to meet 3 thresholds. Number 1, internet browser. PC, Xbox and PlayStation have an internet browser. 2, it can run games. All of them can run games, that's the whole fucking point. And 3, you can watch porn with them because of the internet browser. If your device that you're choosing to game can run anything like normal games, your internet browser, any streaming service like YouTube, Netflix, any of that, and it can show you porn, it's essentially the same as the other ones, and there's not really a reason to get pissed. Because at the end of the day, I can sit here and watch porn on my Xbox, or I could watch it on my PS4. But at the end of the day, it's not going to be any different. The videos aren't going to be faster, smoother. I'm not going to get to see more ass through it. It's all from the same TV. It's just a bunch of different black boxes that show me an ass. It's not special. I mean, look, in all honesty, if you want a genuine opinion that's not going to be biased as fuck, here's one for you. They're all shit. Honestly, they're all shit. The PlayStation's background noise is so ear-numbing that it genuinely makes me contemplate suicide. The Xbox is just terrible with customer support in certain areas. I, on one account, was banned from purchasing anything digitally forever because I once accidentally left a cancelled credit card on my account because the card got stolen, and so it was cancelled, and then it was changed. I had put the new details in, forgot to remove the old one, and they classed it as some form of theft or some shit, and I am not joking, I had to pay £12 in order to even gain access to buy things. And funnily enough, it wouldn't let me pay the £12 because I had to make a digital purchase. I don't know what the fuck happened with that. I don't know why it happened. I don't have an explanation. Honestly, I couldn't tell you. But it did. It happened. And, on top of that, let's be honest, the PS4 did kind of outperform the Xbox One until they got the newer versions. But, at the end of the day, they're all kind of shit. I mean, PC is overly expensive. It costs way too fucking much if you want to run modern games. Well, I could sit and I could play Elden Ring, but if I want the best fucking frame rate and the smoothest gameplay, I'm going to need some of the best parts. And a full PC setup with nothing already owned that has the best parts on the market is £4 grand. £4 grand for a gaming PC with the best parts. Meanwhile, I could sit there and just, pay £450 for a brand new Xbox, run Elden Ring just as smoothly, and not have to fork out the same amount of money that I could be using on a pre-owned small car. Nice little starter car. Nah, fuck it. Battle station's ready, boys. An important thing to kind of realise about the whole console wars is that all platforms have their own flaws, and at the same time they have their own upsides. I mean, there are plenty of reasons to go on PS5. I don't have a PS5, so I don't know any, but I do know that the Game Pass exists on Xbox. I know you can get much better performance than any console on PC if you have the right parts, but at the same time it's a double-edged sword. You can get the best performance for the games out of every single console. It costs a fucking fortune, and you probably won't be able to afford it for years. With the Xbox, you get the Game Pass and all of that shit, and it's great, but the controllers are overpriced and batteries are annoying. Also, USB-C cable. So all of those cables I already have that are not USB-C for controllers are out the window, and I now have to find a USB-C cable to plug into my Xbox. And I love USB-C. It's definitely a durable charger. Absolutely. The real thing that gets me about the console wars, in all honesty, is the sheer arrogance of all of the people that are doing it. They're just the most pretentious people on the internet. Apart from certain groups, but, I could get cancelled or lose my account if I bring up their problems, so I'm not gonna. But no, the console wars people are some of the most pretentious people on the internet, and I'm very thankful that they stick to some very shitty platforms like Twitter and TikTok. Because if you're a person who's not using garbage platforms, then you will never have to worry about it. But if you do use Twitter for some reason, or you are on TikTok, you'll probably come across some pretentious dickbag who honestly thinks they're better than you because they play the Xbox or the PlayStation, completely failing to understand that they're essentially the same thing, and the only real difference is the brand and very mild performance stats that wouldn't really matter. I mean, at the end of the day, right, I don't care. I myself am a console peasant because I went with PC gaming for a while, and I didn't like worrying about my graphics settings and constantly tweaking shit and making sure that the games I'm buying actually run, because with a 1050 Ti and i7 processor, not all games that I get are going to run well. So I have to worry about these £50 purchases I'm making and try to figure out if they'll even run on my computer before I even fucking buy the game. In some cases, the modern games will run at decent frame rate, like the new Five Nights at Freddy's game, but in other cases, it will be like Elden Ring, where it will be so badly running that it won't even hit 30 frames per second and enemies won't be able to render in. I love that. I love having to deal with all of that stress and, you know, trying to save up for better parts. But consoles are a lot cheaper and they play the same games. So I myself am going to stick with console for a while. Who knows, I might go back to PlayStation, because right now I'm on Xbox. I might go back to PC. Only time will tell. I think that at the end of the day, it's your money, and if you're going to spend 10 grand on a PC, more power to you. It's your money, you've earned it, you do what you want with it. But the people who genuinely have some sort of elitism over it don't understand that they play games and that's really the only important thing. If they run a game, congratulations, they fucking do the same job as everyone else. They're not special. And, you know, you could argue that exclusives are a brilliant thing, you know. Oh, we have better exclusives, you know, we got fucking God of War and we got fucking Demon Souls remake. Yeah, you Xbox people, you fucking... You're not radical, my dude. But these people completely neglect the fact that exclusive games suffocate the market and make it more inconvenient for people who are actually buying the product. It's like the expansion packs, the £50 expansion pack for another half game. It's fucking lazy, it's garbage, and it only inconveniences people. Because now, you know, I could release a game, it's only on one platform, and now everyone else who's been dying to play it that doesn't have that are fucked. Unless they want to buy a brand new console for that one game. Which, let's be honest, if you're smart with your money, you're not going to do that. Exclusives are a big problem, in my opinion, and honestly, I don't see them as bragging rights. The more exclusives your console has, the worse I feel it is, because that company is making it harder for other people to buy games if they didn't choose the right console. It makes owning a console a lot more inconvenient, because now you have to do research and try and figure out if you made the right option for even one game that you're desperate to play. I mean, look at Elder Scrolls 6, which has recently been announced to be an Xbox exclusive. So now all of the people that were playing Skyrim over the years that do not have an Xbox, well, they better buy an Xbox, because if they don't, they can't play a game they've waited years for. Which is a big problem, because a lot of Elder Scrolls players are on PC. I think it's the majority, I'm not too sure, but I'm pretty sure it is the majority, because the Skyrim community is very into modding, it's very into adjusting the game and still doing shit around it, console commands, modding, all of that, and you cannot get that as good on a console as you can PC. And you see a lot more people that do play PC than console because of that reason. So they will now have to buy an Xbox if they want to play this game they've been waiting over a decade for. Like, didn't it come out in 2011, Skyrim? I'm sure it did. But either way, this exclusive is inconvenient, and it's just a problem for people who want to buy the game, and that's all exclusives are. They are worse for everyone, because it only means some people will get to pay for the game. And, I mean, let's be honest, it only makes companies less money, because they could have put it on all platforms, and everyone would buy it. Now, while there is a lot of elitism in the gaming community because of the console wars, maybe not as much now because it's kind of died down a lot, it's not as bad as other communities I've seen, like the whole PC Linux community, you know, where you have one problem, 3 solutions, and if you use one solution, someone is going to criticize you. I love that, by the way. As a Linux user myself, I very much love being yelled at for deciding to use what works best for me. But either way, even if it's not as toxic as some other communities, it is a loud minority that doesn't reflect most people's values, but it still ruins it for everyone else, and it makes the gaming community look a lot worse than it actually is. Because it kind of pinpoints this elitism and self-importance over gaming, and it just projects it to every person possible, as if you playing a console that you enjoy is some sort of fucking statement to everyone who didn't pay for that console. And as a whole, it just annoys people, it makes the community look worse, and it doesn't do good for the community, considering they're already kind of seen as toxic as fuck. And yeah, that's as far as it really goes, to be honest. The console wars is just a cringe argument with a bunch of millennials and zoomers that are going out of their way to make everything a little more pretentious for everyone who doesn't give a fuck. So yeah, that's it for today's wonderful rant about pretentious people, while trying to ignore the fact that I myself kind of sound pretentious in this video, because I'm kind of talking down to some people. But either way, I am going to head off because I have crippling hay fever and I can't feel my lungs. So leave a like in this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe for more content, dislike the video if you didn't like it, and let me know how I can do better. Either way, it really helps me improve. And with that, take care and have a good day, afternoon, or night, whatever the fuck it is. Goodbye.